Howdy, everyone. Welcome to part two of discussion with Julian, my good friend Julian over in California. And yeah, go ahead, Julian. How are you doing? We were just talking yesterday, and this is part two of what we were discussing.
Um, Man, not much, man. Just right here, enjoying my day, enjoying my Sunday, eating a slice of pizza. Um, you know what? I used to think like when I stopped going to church on Sundays, I feel kind of like weird. I feel out of place. But now when you go out and you see people like they're just like doing some like enjoying their time, like I got so used to it, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, for
So
real.
yeah, it feels really good, you know.
Yeah, for real, man. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that we could talk about this stuff. So yeah, before we begin, the same spiel. Everyone be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Convince the YouTube algorithm that the conversations being had here are legitimate and appreciated. This helps get on the feed of people that are interested in La Luz del Mundo, that are curious about it, and this could be the one little straw that breaks the camel's back in someone's mind and gets them out. And so
Hmm.
the in the first our basic like topic in these discussions was talking about how we slowly started to get out of La Luz del Mundo, and then um yeah, in the first part I was talking a little bit about like the university and education, and we didn't exactly get to you. And so what we're going to do here is finish my part up really quick and then dive into yours.
Right.
And if we go on little tangents, and that's cool, I think that's fine. I really like the tangents that we went on last time because because yeah, it was just good. That this is a dumb organization with a bunch of holes everywhere that you're very clearly taught to not look at and notice. And
Right.
yeah, and in the last in part one we discussed like different ways that they extract labor from members. So not just the ofrendas, but also like festivals and then raffles, and um getting you to sell stuff at fundraisers, particular times of the year, even for holidays that the church like very clearly does not believe in and follow, like Easter. I remember I told you that at one point we were selling in Houston, we were selling Easter piñatas of bunnies, and I have the pictures, bro. But yeah, if I'm gonna pull it up, it might be interesting. But yeah, I have pictures of like just fucking bunnies that they had in the basement that was just like yeah. I'm not even gonna get into it, but we can continue on. Um, uh, yeah. Do you have anything to add before we dive into it? Before I go into finishing my part up?
um, No, not really, man. You pretty much said it straightforward. Just excited to kind of share my story. Well, I don't want to make it seem all dramatic, my story. Um,
Yeah.
but just kind of uh explain, what made me think, what made me like say, hey, that's not okay. That's kind of weird. Things like that for those who are going through that process right now.
Yeah.
They don't that way they don't feel out of place. They don't feel you know, like they're going to go to hell. Like we and you went through that, and it's perfectly normal. And I think that's good because it lets us know that um we're perfectly normal and we can think for ourselves still. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, they're really down the freaking rabbit hole that they can't even think anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's it helps people to know that they aren't crazy for having doubts. The
Exactly.
doubts are
Yeah.
normal. The thing that's
Yeah.
crazy is that there's an environment around you in which you cannot voice those doubts. And if you do, it's in private with the particular person whose job it is, the minister, the pastor, whose
Yeah.
job it is to not let you voice those doubts out loud and act on them, and to keep you there and to keep you complacent and to keep you silent.
Hmm.
And by keeping yourself silent and present in the church, you just make it seem like it's normal for everyone to show up there. So yeah, we don't want people to feel crazy, and we talk about this and we do this because we want to, like I was saying last time, we want to uplift the community, bro. Like this is a community of people who take their spirituality very seriously. I get that they want to have a relationship with God. They want to have a nice moral set of morals to live by their entire life. They want to have some sort of structure. They want to have a community
Yeah.
of fellow people. Like I get all that, totally respect it. I support that. But the thing is that for La Luz del Mundo, that whole all that stuff that they want and that they crave and everything is all based upon the fact that that they believe this fat Mexican named Nason has magic powers. Like they really think this, and it's all baked on that. And the fact that it's like all grounded on that is freaking dumb, just theologically speaking. And even apart from that, just it's really dumb in the face of, you know, the situation that he finds himself in, that he continues to find himself in, and that he very clearly is not doing everything he should be doing to get out
Right.
of, given, you know, given the way that he presents himself to everybody. um yeah. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start with my thing. So yeah, where we left
Right.
off was talking about like university and education, and how that was important to me, and how that was like a bit of an escape for me. And then I guess to sort of wrap up my part really quickly, I'll say that by the time that so yeah, by the last year or two, so I was an undergrad at the University of Houston for 5 years, and by the last year or two, I was for sure like an atheist, and I wasn't believing, but I was still going to church, and I was mentally out, very mentally out, but still physically going. And the important part for me was getting accepted to graduate school, far from where I grew up, and going to graduate school in Pennsylvania, because then the nearest church that I would be to was like 2 hours away in Lancaster, and my attendance at church would go down dramatically. I was only going to church Sundays, if that, for the first year of graduate school that I was over here. So yeah, you know, I was in Houston. I moved away. I went to church just once a week, and then it was a 2 hour drive there, 2 hours there in church. I would always show up late, of course, but then then it was a 2 hour drive back.
Wow.
I wouldn't stay there in the church for the servicio on Sundays, but it was basically that. I just went, showed my face, and left. And
I bet that was a
um,
burden, bro. Just to have to go
bro, it
2 hour
was
drive.
crazy, man. It was
Oh,
crazy. It was crazy. And it was nuts, man. So that was just my first year though. So that was like August to December, then like January to May. That was just the first year. But like for me, I learned, and having that distance and establishing that distance between me and the church and church life,
yeah.
I learned that you know, that time on Sunday mornings was valuable. Like I needed that to work on stuff. And by not working on stuff, I was putting myself behind a bunch of other people. And then another thing was by by getting church out of the way on a Sunday, like I literally could live the rest of my life, the rest of my week normal, knowing that no one else in town was part of the church, and they weren't gonna snitch on me, they weren't spying on me or nothing. And so you know, I started for me, I started, you know, loosening myself up. I started drinking for sure, and I started, you know, experimenting with just other things and just being fucking normal like everybody else. Um,
Yeah.
but the crazy thing is that this leads up to that summer, right, where when Nason gets arrested. For us, school ends on like early May, and so school ends. And I was talking to my parents. I was like, "Hey, so you know, I'm gonna go back with y'all. I'm gonna spend the summer with y'all because I'm gonna go do research in town in Houston, and I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna be reading books. you know, I'm back in the house like just like normal, and I'm gonna be reading books, and I'm gonna go do all the normal stuff, right?" And then my parents were telling me, "Okay, uh, you're to spend the summer with us. Before you come here, go fly straight to Guadalajara from where you're at. Fly straight to Guadalajara because it's about to be Nason's birthday that week. I think it's like May 7th, and I was there for that week. And then from there, I went to Houston, and then I spent the summer there. But yeah, that week, I was here. I went to Guadalajara. Why did I go? I went because, you know, my parents were paying for the ticket, and they were telling me to go, but I wasn't actually going for Nason. I didn't care. I was only going to like have good ass food and see my family, you know, see grandma and everything. But then so yeah, that week I saw him, dude. I saw him on his birthday or the day after, but for sure his birthday. Like I saw him. Then after that first week of May is over, I go to Houston. By mid-May, you know, I'm settling in to Houston for the summer. And by mid-May is when they have the homenaje at Bellas Artes
Yeah.
in Mexico. And I don't even know exactly what city it's in. If it's in Guadalajara or Mexico City, I think it's in. I'm not too sure, but you know that was controversial.
Oh yeah.
And and so then by the end of there's like a Dominical or two in May, in late May, where he's talking about the controversy that he stirred. And you know, that's a whole topic, dude. And if anyone's really interested in that and they know Spanish, I encourage them to go to Dante Mandela's channel, Analizando la Doctrina LLDM. It's Dante Mandela. And he has videos where he's talking about who organized that event at Bellas Artes at that venue, and what that venue means for Mexico, and why it was bad that Nason tried to do something there for himself. Um, and who was behind it. And he just, like, Dante Mandela just very clearly just takes them all down and shows that LLDM was behind the whole thing, and that it was advertised as an homenaje to Nason, because that's what I knew in Houston. So for us in Houston, what we did to see it was, we in Houston, in what's it called, Discovery Green Park, in the middle of downtown, all the La Luz del Mundo people went on like a weekday to, and there's like a projector there. There's like a little theater there that they have at this park, and there's a bunch of church people there sitting down in a bunch of chairs watching this thing, and like, we knew it wasn't. It was told this. It was advertised to this as to the members of, like, it's something to honrar Nason, because it was his birthday recently, and I didn't really make heads or tails of it. I just went, and that was it, But then, like, later, I found out, the arrest and everything. But why did I bring that up? I bring that up because also that week prior to the homenaje, and just that we saw streamed from that park in Houston, in that same park, like a week before, there was bautismos, and there was bautismos there in public, and we all went, and it was freaking hot and just stupid. It was just so stupid. And because it's a bunch of little kids. It's a bunch of little kids, and maybe like a random stranger or two on the street that sees and then comes
Bro,
over. Yeah.
exactly. I wanted to just put a parenthesis right there. Baptisms de la Luz del Mundo. Out of every 30 members, 29 are kids, and like there's like one visitor who will stop going like a week later. And that happens everywhere, dude. Like, and that just makes this cult that much more like cringe that it doesn't grow. And if there's actually adults, they're family members of the church already. That's literally who I've seen. It's really rare when I see a person that's like just a friend. I don't even think I ever saw any person where I was at. Every adult new member that was an adult was actually just a member of a member, or a family member of a La Luz del Mundo member already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because it's really hard to. I mean, anyways, just go on. I wanted to just say that, but go for it. Sorry.
So yeah, that was like after. So that was sometime in May, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump ahead like a month. When after Nason gets arrested, how they have this whole PR campaign to, and how they were trying to get way more people to get baptized, to make it seem like the church was still growing, even though the leader was just arrested, and they were pushing more baptisms. And yeah, literally a month after that, so there's a baptism. Nason gets arrested. I'll get to that in a bit, and then they have another set of baptisms like a month later. Except it's not in public; it's in the church again. But they were really pushing it. They were really pushing it. Like, they were pushing a whole other round of baptisms to make it seem like they had a big number of everyone everywhere across the planet, still growing.
Right.
And it was so dumb. And I won't say that this happened in that particular baptism, but I know in past baptisms, there was times where Antonio Gaona, the minister, this man can kiss my fucking ass, man. He got 13-year-olds to baptize themselves on the technicality. The technicality was that, like, if the baptism that we're holding in Houston is going to be in the beginning of the month, and you turn 14 and later in the month, that's okay. It counts. You can go and get baptized. And still, bro, they're still little kids. Whether they're 13 or they're 14, they're still little kids. They have no choice but to get baptized, and just, all that. So yeah, that, right up when Nason gets right before Nason gets arrested, that's where my head is. My head is like, I'm back in Houston just for the summer. I clearly don't believe I was still attending. I didn't know how to break it to my family that I wanted to leave. I very honestly, in my head, for like a long time, was telling myself, like, dude, I just need something like objective. I just need someone to say something really, really bad,
Like an
or
excuse, right?
I just need something to latch onto and get the hell out. And not that I believe in God, but like, God answered my prayer, and I got the ultimate thing. The freaking pastor, the freaking leader of the whole organization, got arrested on these horrific charges. Okay, so what happens? The morning of Tuesday, June 4th, 2019, I woke up at 5 a.m. to go to church, and I went to church so I could get it out of the way, because I knew in the afternoon, if I was at home, my parents were going to pressure me to go. And so and because I just wanted to stay home in that afternoon, sit outside and read, which is what I was doing. And then I was doing some research and some other work. But yeah, basically I go to church that Tuesday morning, June 4th. I
Yeah.
I go I go to church, I come back, and then I go about my day. It's the afternoon. My parents are like, "Hey, let's go to church," and I was like, "Nope, I went this morning. Leave me alone. I'm chilling here. I'm gonna read." Okay, right. That happens. They go away. I'm outside. I'm at home, just chilling. Then it's time that church ends, and by the time that church ends, I get a text from my family saying that, hey, they want everyone to show up at church, and I was like, damn it, man, damn it. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna go, I guess. And so my idea right off the bat was, well, when they were calling an emergency meeting, I didn't know that it was an emergency meeting for everybody, every church, but I knew it was just for us. My idea was like, oh, Nason is going to come in like a week or something, and we got to prepare, or maybe there's just something, they were just going to come up with
Yeah.
something. Not that the leader was going to get arrested. So yeah, basically I get that text, and then my parents were like, yeah, your father's gonna go pick you up in 15 minutes. And I was like, whatever, man. I got ready, I got dressed. He picks me up, I'm going, and I'm like, I'm not even asking questions. I'm just like, fuck it, whatever, I'm just gonna go, I guess. I thought I was trying to not go to church in the afternoon. I guess I gotta go. On the drive there, my father tells me, hey, so do you know why? And I was like, did you know why they're calling us? I was like, no. I wasn't even interested why. And then he's like, yeah, so apparently the leader got arrested in California. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. And I still didn't look it up. I was like, oh, okay. But the first idea in my head was, oh, there's probably like some passport issue, some very
Bro,
technical thing,
yeah, that's what I
right?
thought too. I
That's what
thought
I
it was
thought.
something with his like green card or something
Yeah,
with
yeah,
this like visa or some crap because he's this international leader. And I didn't
yeah.
look it up for like a whole week. No,
You
like
didn't,
almost like
yeah.
3 days, like 3 days. But sorry, go ahead. I'll get into my story, but go forward.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, you can jump in a bit. Like, let me just wrap up what happened that this particular day. So he tells me that he's like, yeah, they arrested the leader in California, and I was like, oh, okay. And then we're driving there. I was like, oh, I guess we're gonna like pray or something, or maybe they just want to explain the situation. But
Right.
then I still didn't look it up on my phone. And then we get to church within 5 minutes. I don't live that far from the church. I get there, and because I showed up late, and it was past normal church time, I go inside, and dude, I get to sit all the way up in the front. I get escorted all the way up to the front, right in the freaking front, right in front of the TV. And they show the message of the consejo of the obispos, man. And I see the freaking obispos like big blown up right here. It's crazy. It was like straight like scripted, man. Like God wrote it. And and they give their little message about, for like 5 minutes. I don't know if there's a recording of this on like YouTube or anything, but they give their little thing of like, hey, the apostle was arrested. We're gonna go into consas for 24 hours.
Oh
Don't
yeah.
don't read the news. They were very clear about that. They were like, don't read the news. We're your only fountain of information. And I was like, what? Okay. I don't know. I didn't really question it. I was like, and not that I didn't really question, but I was like, bro, what's going on? we and so then the message ends, and then when I think the pastor gets up, and he was like telling people in charge of little groups to start taking a tally for who's going to do the the oracion like every hour for the next 24 hours. You know how they do that?
Yeah.
And I didn't stay inside, or I don't remember what happens, but next thing you know, I'm outside and I'm with my family. And between the family that's there's two cars that we took. And so I was like, hey, so can I take a car home? I want to go home. And they let me. And I go home before my whole family. Immediately, bro, I sit down right in my living room. I'll freaking walk in. I sit down in my living room, and I looked it up, bro. I looked up the 26-page thing from Javier Becerra and the Department of Justice in California, and where they're explaining
Wow.
like every charge word for word. And they're like, here are the four defendants. This dude was arrested. This woman. We don't really know where she is. And I read that whole thing, and I was like, what the right? But then by that point, I started looking up LLDM on Google, just Google. And then I found the subreddit for the community, and by that point, the community had like 700 members. Now they have like 2,100 members, something like that. And I get on that, and I started looking on the page, and people were making little posts saying like, "Hey, he got arrested. Hey, there's this. Hey, there's this." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like that was the very first time I actually allowed myself to Google very harsh things against the church, that particular church. Before that, I was just looking up like material on like what it means to not believe in God, like just very general stuff,
Yeah.
just what it means to not believe in God, and why do people believe in God, and the history of religion and whatever. But that night, like it literally snapped, like the arrest like fucking snapped me, because then I was like, all this stuff that I was getting like started focusing hyper in on this one on our group. And I my parents get home, and we started talking about what we just heard, outside of church. We didn't talk about it when we were outside of church in the parking lot talking, but once we were at the table, we started talking about it. And I remember my my father said like, yeah, just like Moises Padilla in 1997. Well, he didn't say that name, but he was like, yeah, so this happened back in 1997, and just like it happened back then, and we won, and nothing happened, the same is gonna happen now. And for me, I was like, bro, what? No, man. I was like, man, y'all are crazy. I stayed my mouth kept shut that whole summer. But yeah, that's the end of that, just that particular day. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to add to that? Do you want to start diving into I don't know,
Well,
but you can you can take
I
it
can
however you
kind of
want.
I can
Go for it.
say my a little bit about my what was going on with me at that time, and I'll stop where you stop as far as like when I looked it up and then what was gonna happen next, like an episode or something. So so for those who like really really don't know me, you probably watched a few of the other videos and you're familiar with my face, but um just to sum it up, I was in church, since I've been around church since I was like a little baby. My mom would take me when I was like very small, 2 years old, very like a baby. I remember going to the estudios, whatever. I grew up, and I got married, had my family in church. Um, so the kind of guy I was in church. I was basically the guy who got mad if you dyed your hair. I was very defensive. I was always involved in anything. If I could inquire, helping with the commission. I was in the commission um, for a long time.
Like
Um, you
counting
know,
money? Like
yeah,
counting, okay.
yeah, things like that. I helped out the encargados. I was like their little caller if they needed something done, or if they needed to deliver a message because they couldn't get a hold of somebody. They would call me.
Yeah.
um, I was starting to take Sunday schools too when they needed helpers or someone. They started to give me those, that help, and I thought that was I took a lot of pride in that because I mean, not everyone would want to go do that because you're out there for 2 hours or whatever. So, I was that kind of guy. I was really trying to push myself, because when I do something, like I really try to be the best or try to be, and that's just who I was, who I am, and I think anyone can relate to that. Especially when it comes to like a religion where you want to go to save your soul, like I was trying not to waste my time, so at the time when that happened, um, I was uh, I was working night shifts. I can't remember where, but I was still working night shifts, and I remember I was asleep in my bed, still like tired as hell, and then my phone went off. And like every other church, we have like groups in WhatsApp, right? And everybody's like in there. So if the minister sends out a message, like everybody just gets it. So I was there laying down, and I received these messages, that this terrible thing had happened, and that we need to all organize and start getting in prayer. And I immediately, like right, like you said, I started to assume that it was like some sort of like technical issue with his immigration status, And like always, the thought that all this commotion was going around with going to prayer and this and that, I thought that was perfectly normal because he's the man of God, and they have him holding down in a jail somewhere. So, wow, pobrecito, like we have to really pray, and hopefully he gets out like by tomorrow, ASAP, because this guy doesn't deserve to even see the place, let alone be there. Anyways, I was just like, you know, and so they started arranging prayers, dude, like at 5 in the morning. At
Mhm.
5 in the morning, it was like a constant, a 24-hour thing. And I remember, like as well, right? Like they had said not to, you know, I I already knew like we weren't allowed to look at the news or anything like that. But at the same time, things started getting a little weird. Like people started to just, I guess, noticing things or just hearing stuff. And I had I was the kind of guy, bro, that I was preaching to a lot of my family members, a lot of friends at work of coming to church. I had visitors coming to church. I had people coming visiting because I was preaching to them. I was that kind of guy. All right.
Mhm.
So when this happens, it's like everybody who I was talking to, they're like, "Whoa, what's up, Julian? Like, what's going on?" And me, thinking like, okay, well, I need to give these people, my family members and whoever I'm preaching to, an answer. Like it's my obligation to answer to them. You know what I mean? So I knew I still had full faith in. I was still like full, like thinking like everything's still okay. So I knew like, okay, I'm not gonna. I need to get informed so I can have an explanation to these people, right? To my family and and when I say family, I mean family members who weren't part of the church, and
Mhm.
to my friends who I was preaching to. So I'm gonna go get information. I'm gonna get information, and I was thinking like I'm not gonna listen to the devil. I'm not gonna listen to the rumors. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to find transcripts. I'm gonna try to find the actual what's happening in court. And so I Google it up, dude, and I'm still thinking it's like a process with the whole immigration. And then Nason's face pops up, bro, all greasy, like this, like
It is, man.
he needs a wipey, you know what I mean? Like he's, and I'm thinking like the more I stare at it, I look at his eyes, dude, and I'm like, you got caught, motherfucker. Like you got caught, bro, and you know it. And look at you. Look at your face. Look at you. You're sweating. You're not sweating because it's hot. You're sweating because you're nervous. You're scared, and you can see it. And then and then not only that, but then I start seeing all these women who I've never seen or never met. So I had to do my homework on all of them, right? But yeah, I look at his face, and for the first time, I don't know what I felt. I just felt weird seeing Nason in that position with his shirt all messed up, greasy, like a mugshot. Like I'm used to seeing this guy with the perfect angles, like just like a stallion or I don't know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, like, and then I start seeing what he's getting accused of, and I swear, dude, it was weird. I swear, the immediate thing that I went to my head was 1997, because I remember before I got married, I didn't have no idea about 1997 with Moises Padilla, right, the stabbing. And I seen that like 2 days before my wedding when I got married, and I cried a lot. I didn't want to believe it. My wife was like, "No, it ain't true. Don't pay attention." And I was so hyped up about my wedding, like I just kind of like whatever. But that came back, that resurfaced,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it just really like it just like I was like, something's not right.
Mhm.
Something's just not right. It's just weird. And my biggest fear down my spine was the fact that all this thing, this whole, it's just a bunch of pile of just dog water bullshit. Literally, I was like, and then I stopped thinking about that, right? Because I got scared right away. Boom, like, no, 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 no. Nah, nah. I remember having to go take a shower. I was in the shower, and it would just come through my head like, what if? Well, what if Julian? And I was like, nah, I didn't want to believe it, dude. I didn't want to believe it. So right when the prayers came, 5 in the morning to go pray for this guy, bro, I was like letting it out, because I felt really, I felt, I'm the guy who's preaching to people and everything and all this and that, and then now I'm like fighting to still believe in that, even though I knew for a fact, like at some point I realized I'm just literally forcing myself. Like I need to really, this is not me. I can't just ignore the red flags. I can't just like, so, um, I wanted to answer, people that I was preaching to. So I started doing the research, bro, and I started finding out. The first thing that I found out, was the adultery of Nason. And for a second, bro, I almost believed this guy saying that it was just a strategy. But if you do I did my research, and I'm like, well, you can't lie to make something up and get off, a charge, can you? So I looked it up, and I'm like, no, you can't. That's called perjury. It's
Yeah.
perjury. Perjury, perjury, perjury. And I was like, just doing my math right there in my room before I blew up and I'll stop right here, right? So so yeah, that this was the initiation of my whole like meltdown and just like, like something's wrong here because we're supposed to be good Christians, to make good citizens. We are we preach that we respect the authorities because they're placed by God. But yet now someone's doing the damn opposite. Complete opposite. If what this pastor is saying is true, why is not someone doing the opposite? Why? Why? Like it makes no sense. So I was like, that doesn't make a damn sense. So that's where everything, starts to unfold on me, like in my head, like a lot of shit that wasn't right, a lot of
Hmm.
things that weren't right, and then that brought me back and took me to the past where I used to I always had like little pauses throughout my whole career in La Luz del Mundo of things that I always thought wasn't right. I knew there was a lot of them, and I can't remember, and I couldn't remember them at the time, but I knew there was a grip. I knew there was a whole lot, but I always ignored them. I always prayed for entendimiento, because that's what they would always tell us.
Yeah.
And everything just came back like a little domino effect. Like if I'm trying to build a deck of cards and I'm trying to put the last card, and boom, it all just fucking collapses, bro. And that's what happened. That's literally what happened. So that's when, I'll stop right there, but that's pretty much what um led me to like the beginning of
Hmm.
like, fuck, what am I gonna find out?
Yeah. That was August, like mid to late August when that came out about well when that motion came out from Ken Rosenfeld and Alan Sawyer, his first lawyers. They weren't technically his first lawyers, but they were his first real set of lawyers to
Yeah.
represent him for a period of time.
Uh-huh.
That's when that came out, and I remember when that came out. And by man, I don't know. I'll get to that, but by that point, I was not with my family anymore. I was back at school, and that point in August, and I think it was after the Santa Cena, and or maybe before, not after. And in my head, I was like, bro, like you were saying, I was like, bro, this is perjury. This is perjury, man. Anyways, so what happens, that day was, we're told that, and for me, I'll take it up for a little bit. I'll speak for a little bit. I take it up to he gets arrested. Do I look up much that night? I don't really remember if I look up much that night, but I for sure knew that the XLLDM subreddit was a thing, and there was just a group of people there just talking shit, and very
Yeah.
justifiable shit. And the group has been up. The group has been active since like February 2017, so it wasn't even that act. So it wasn't that long. It was just like 2 years, but and it had like 700 members. So that week, I think the next day for sure, I started looking up stuff for about a week or two, until like late June. By late June, I started posting in the XLODM subreddit for myself, and I started like asking questions, and started like giving little freaking rants for myself and for other people there.
Yeah.
Um, that Yeah, that first week I was just looking stuff up by myself, and I was looking stuff up on like Twitter. I was like, oh crap, people are reacting to this. people who aren't church people, like on Twitter, or like saying that like they know this dude, and they made it seem like they always just never liked him. And um I remember, yeah, I'm pretty sure I went to some amount of the 24-hour Gonza thing, where I was going like, I probably went to some amount of those things. I didn't go like late at night, like a crazy ass man, but some people were. But by Thursday, so the 24-hour Gonzas only lasted like a day or two, right?
I think
Because
so,
because by
yeah.
yeah, because by, well, at least for us, because by then it became clear, at some point, it was ordered to stop, because, but I'm pretty sure by then it became clear that he was going to stay in jail for like a while. and and I remember I went on Thursday, that Thursday of that week, so June 6th. I went to I went to the servicio in the afternoon, and we didn't have the minister up there talking, but we had one of the sort of like, he wasn't a minister or anything, but he was a preacher. He was a local preacher, and he was taking the konsa, and he was just telling people like, we're with him, and this and this and this. And in my mind, in my head, dude, I was sitting there, and I don't remember where I sat that day, but I remember sitting there and thinking like, bro, I really wish that I could just go up there, get the mic, snatch it out his fucking hand, and say like, bro, he has a fucking $50 million bail. What the fuck, right? I was like, so it was 25 million, right? It was 25 million like Tuesday, and I didn't know many details by then, but I remember like sitting in that thing and being there like, bro. I thinking like, picturing myself like going up there, snatching the mic, and saying like, bro, he has a $50 million bail. Are you guys telling me that you guys aren't gonna look up the news like I did 2 days ago? Because I feel crazy. Because I looked it up, and you obviously can't talk about that with anyone. I can't admit to anyone that I looked it up,
That's
and
hilarious.
but I
That's funny.
felt crazy, man.
You're
And yeah,
like, what the fuck?
I was like, bro, I was like, if I was like, this is supposedly the doctrina que nadie ha contestado. I was like, so we're just not supposed to look shit up. Like, if anything, the very ideal situation is that everyone knows everything, starts looking shit up, and starts going and starts we start go we go to the local Telemundo, we go to the local ABC News, we go to whatever, and we were protesting outside saying that like, hey, you guys are reporting crappy
Yeah.
details or something, we know everything, or like we should be going on the, or like, you know how they were telling people that if there's news people out in the parking lot and they ask you a question, don't answer it or nothing like that. I was like, no, bro, the ideal situation would be that we're all out there and we all know everything. And we're like, no, we know him. He's this and this and this and this. Bro, it's crazy. Anyways, I think by that weekend, or like one of those, within a week or two of his arrest, I remember going to a friend's house, who was part of the church, and his family too. And I remember going there and sitting down to talk to them, because by then there was this little project going on, and it wasn't said up at the pulpit in public. It was just a particular people that they were telling these people to write letters to the judge, or to the court, to California, to whoever. And basically, in this letter, you're supposed to be like some sort of testimony of Nason's witness, a witness of Nason's character. And do you know anything about this, where they were asking people to sit down and write their own little things, type up, say nice things, that we know him, this and this and this, so they could send it. And the idea was to gather all those letters, for the lawyers to gather all those letters and present that as like evidence that he didn't do bullshit. Do you know anything about this?
Honestly, no, our situation was, I took a different approach because the encargado that we had, which was Mario Gomez at the time, he as soon as this happened, they had him move. So he would like,
Yeah,
we were too busy helping him get rid of things and things like that. And I still don't know why he was getting moved. But now that so when he got moved, and he didn't even tell us. It was just weird. He didn't tell us who was coming because it would make it that much more weird. But the person who was switching his place was Alondra Ocampo's brother,
yeah,
right? I think
yeah,
it's her younger brother, and his
yeah.
name,
He is
and
younger.
and it makes it way more weird that his name's Nason. So I'm like, that's fucking weird. But but when he came, I was still like in the process of like, like um we're gonna be okay, like I remember by that time I was still thinking like, we're gonna be okay, but I was at a point where I didn't know what the fuck to say to people. I didn't know what to say. Like I felt like I was starting to beginning to feel that I looked crazy to tell people my story of what I thought because I already knew the case. I was getting familiar with the case, and as much as I hated what I was reading in the court, it looked very legit. It just I had no chance to say like, it's somehow the Catholics and then it's the Pope, and like I had nothing to fucking back it up. So even though I wanted to defend Nason, I was still believing, but I didn't fucking know how. I felt stupid, bro. And that's when I started to think, I don't like feeling stupid. I don't like feeling like this. And things like that. And I think that plays a lot with why they had the members not to answer any questions with the news. Because imagine, dude, just imagine how ridiculous a lot of members would look. I think people would literally laugh. They would laugh. And if you
Yeah.
go to like, there is some where members did ask, answer some questions and just said something, but very few. And you see them and they just, it's just hilarious how he's a man of God, but they don't really go into full detail, of what they actually teach about it. But imagine, dude, I think that plays a big role in why they didn't allow members to, speak out and say what they thought because
Hmm.
they couldn't say, fucking yeah, he came to my house last week and we were, I've known him since he was no, no, they were just gonna say all the same shit that they say as robots, and sorry to say it like that, because none of them know him. All they
Yeah.
know is what he says on a 2-hour screen, and that's it, and what you feel, and they're all gonna sound like robots saying the same thing. Imagine watching the newscast, and it's like 6 different screens, or like 20 or 30, and all the brothers are saying the exact same thing, like a program. You would just see it like they're just programmed. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, yeah, totally.
they would, you can identify a Luz Del Mundo member when you talk to them, and
Hmm.
that's what I mean by like they, they look, they
That
sound
there's
programmed.
nothing of substance, man. It's just, it's just the same stuff that they
Yeah,
would
like
say.
they don't have an identity. It's just like they talk the same, they think the same, they express themselves the same, and it's really hard. Like you can't get past that to see who they really are. Like, what's your true laugh? How do you truly feel? How do you like truly react? Like, man, they maybe they do like when there's no members around, but like it's just weird, dude. But sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
for sure. So yeah, I was saying that I think by that weekend, I think it was like a Sunday afternoon or something, I went to a friend's house and I was helping his two parents write their little letters.
Yeah,
And basically these are members that were in Guadalajara and that knew him as a kid. And they were
yeah,
writing and they just wrote like a little, just one word document. And they're, no offense to them, but their English wasn't good. And I write and stuff. And so, I went over to go help them clean it up and send it to whoever they were sending it to. And but yeah, there was a campaign throughout different parts of the church for to get people to write letters like that of support, of testaments to his character. And this one that I read was this one hermano, this one brother was saying stuff like, yeah, one time I went on a road trip with him from like Las Vegas to Arizona or to California, somewhere there in like the 90s or like the early 2000s or like the 90s or the 80s or something. And the dude was like, yeah, he was really nice to us and I drove him, I was his chauffeur, something like that. But the point was that, like, I was like, bro, is that really the last, in my head I was like, bro, is that really the last time you met him? I was like, you weren't doing shit, bro. You were just you were just driving him around. Like, this means nothing. Like, this means nothing. And if he
yeah,
was up to some bull crap, he wasn't gonna do it in front of your
exact,
face, obviously.
yeah,
But yeah, so I helped him type that stuff. I was there. I went to the house to go hang out with my two friends, and we ourselves weren't talking about the case or anything. We were ignoring it. We were just friends. But like me reading those letters from that family, I got up close to see that. I was like, dang, these people know him since way back then for sure. But now they don't actually know him. And I believe I read my father like wrote a letter also, and I think I read his, and it was nothing of real substance. It was just kind of the same repeated stuff, and but except without the anecdote of like, hey, I met him back in 19 whatever. and
yeah,
um and then if anything, like, my parents grew up like 2 blocks away from the church, in the 70s and 80s and all that. And Nason was probably walking in those streets. He probably went over for lunch once or something. I've heard stories of this. But not him. I know for Uciel. I know Uciel's fat ass was my. I've been told stories of Uciel's fat ass as a kid going over to my grandma's house and asking for food and getting food and leaving, and but they'd give it to him because he was the son of the apostle back then, right? I'm not even kidding, man. It's so funny. I heard these stories, and they say them like they know him, right? It means nothing. Um, anyways, so by the end of June, I make my own account on the subreddit in LLDM, and I start posting my own things. I started, getting a lay of the land, recognizing particular names and seeing that people were saying that like, hey, be careful what information you give here. We don't want people to like snoop you out. We don't want use a VPN if you can. I got a VPN, so I could start posting like that. And when I was posting particular things, I would add little lies about myself. So I would say like I had two sisters, or I would say like um, I had two brothers, like it's little things like that, just little
Yeah.
lies to throw in there just to sort of obscure my image. But no, that summer, that fall, that spring, all that stuff, bro, I was popping off on that subreddit. Not to brag or anything, but like I think up to this day I have the most karma. I have the most like likes and all that stuff from that community, and that was the only community I was posting in from that account. And I bring that up because like I was so dedicated. Like I was just so dedicated. Like every other few days or something, I would just type something. I was like, hey bro, I put some thought towards this. Here's a little essay on it. I was like, what do y'all think? I was like, here are my thoughts on this thing. And again, not to brag, but I was a pretty smart dude, and I was like, I know how to write. I know how to argue something. I have this new body of stuff that I can write about. I'm just gonna write. I'm just gonna talk shit. And I was just talking shit, and people were responding, and people liked it, and it got conversation going. People would send me like nice messages telling me that they liked what I was
Yeah.
saying, and that I had a point and all that stuff, and that they would. I remember once getting a message where this brother and the sister were telling me that like, hey man, how do we talk to our parents about something? He's like, bro, let's just go to AJ's account and just read all his stuff. Like, let's just go there and just read all his stuff. And that mattered a lot to me, and it gave me a community, and it made me feel like I wasn't crazy. And but I hid that from my family that whole summer. I never let them know that I was out, but I was still going to church. And I knew the dude was arrested. For myself in private, I knew when the trial dates were happening. I knew I was watching the footage from like Law and Crime Network and all that. And then for writing letters, and then I guess June, I wasn't talking. I was on the subreddit a lot, just typing a lot of crap. Um, but then by the time like August rolls around, I leave my family. I leave to go back to school,
Right.
and I went to church just for the Santa Cena, on the 2019 that Adoraim took. And it was just embarrassing. And I get there, and I was in Lancaster, so I got here to town, to my college town. Then I drove 2 hours that day to go to the Santa Cena. And then I decided, I was like, bro, this is the last time I go to church. This is a freaking clown show, man. Like, who is this little kid up there, right? And we didn't know that the little kid was gonna be up there, but he was up there. And
Yeah.
I was crazy, dude. I drove back home, and I was just going nuts. I went to bed, and then I just went about my life like normal. Um, what can I say? By like when I get back, I think the Santa Cena is like in the middle of the week, the 14th. I think it was the 18th. Um, anyways, it's like the next Sunday,
Yeah.
and I'm already moved into my apartment, and I'm ready to just continue back to school and like normal. But that morning, I woke up and I sent a text to my family. I was like, hey bro, like something like super vanilla. I was like, here it is. I was like, trust me, it's not even that long. I said, hey, trust me that I mean this with all the love, respect, and bravery in me. I'm done going to that church any further. This is painful, and I wish no pain. Do not take this out on each other. So now what? You have been told to cut people off like me and to stop talking to me, to let me not contaminate y'all. So be it. I understand, but also understand that I'm here with open arms, and open mind, and an open heart for you. That is all I. That is all you need to know. Read this message again and wait a date to reply, if you want to reply at all.
I like what you said earlier. I wrote it down, but it takes me back to where And for some reason, bro, this meant so much to me. Um, when I found out about Nason admitting to adultery, my mind was going back and forth, like what to decide. Am I going crazy? Am I like this? Is the devil in my head? Like what you could think of, bro. I was just going through it, right? I was just having so many thoughts, like like was does it even matter that I'm a member now that I don't really believe, or is it okay that I'm having these thoughts? That's my doubting okay? And anyways, and I couldn't go to the minister, right? Because it's freaking Alondra's brother, dude. So I'm like, damn, I don't know what to do. So, this thing was just building up in me, and I literally thought that I was going crazy. Cause my wife, she didn't want to like really, we weren't seeing really eye to eye. She was just still like boom, and I was just like, my mind was just going to with all these ideas, and we just decided like, what, we should just talk to the minister, which was Alondra's brother. So then we go. I remember it was a Sunday school. When I show up and I'm walking in the doors, he stops me, takes me in this little room to the right. It was like a little office, and I just let it out, bro. I'm telling him, hey, you know what? Like I feel so bad. You're her brother, and I just like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're going through this, but like I'm a human being, and I think, and I think it's perfectly normal for me to think. And he was being like, yeah, you're right, Julian. Yes, yes, and I felt like, bro, this was about to tell me, you know what, Julian, you're right. That's the vibe he was giving me. But he's like, you know what? Hold on, let me just walk out. So he walks out, he comes back in, and he has this freaking stupid letter of Nason, bro.
Yeah,
And all he tells me is, Julian, I need you to read this letter.
yeah,
I'm gonna leave you alone. Read it. And I'm alone in the room by myself. My wife wasn't even in the room. I don't think he let her. He leaves me alone with this paper, bro. And I read like the first, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I didn't say fuck, but I was just like, I really just like, bro, what the fuck is this? I start to read it thinking like something magical is gonna happen. Like I'm gonna get my faith back, like the power from. Ah. I'm reading this first two sentences and I don't feel nothing. I'm just like, this is not gonna fix it. How is this gonna explain to me everything that's going through my head right now? I need to detail explain why this guy's admitting to adultery after him saying that his innocence was going to be proven. He's going to prove his innocence by just the fact that he's an innocent person. You don't have to lie or make up anything to as a strategy, because first of all, that's perjury. Anyways, so when I left, bro, I left worse. I thought like, damn. So anyways, I took this note right when you were saying, I thought I
yeah,
was going really crazy. But as more stuff came out, and I started getting involved also with Reddit, with YouTube, with just people going through the same thing, and people probably who've gone through it way longer than I have, who had the right things to say at the right time, the right words. Because I think the biggest painful, the what made it so painful was the fact that I didn't have answers. I didn't have like an explanation. I was so used to always having the answer in La Luz del Mundo, and I was just in that comfort zone. So that's what I feared most, that leaving, stepping out of this, like, of cracking this like wall of glass, stepping out, not knowing what the hell's on the other side. That's what really got me scared and made me feel that I was going crazy. But when I started meeting these people, Reddit, everything, right? I felt what you said. I started to realize that I was not crazy.
mhm,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
Because it wasn't just me; it was a lot of people. And then also, you mentioned you feel like you belong into a community of normal people, And I remember crying one day. I was driving, I was driving, and I was just like fucking happy, bro. I don't know why, but like any member will relate. Like, just I know that it's hard to think that all this is a lie, but I know deep down, like all the bullshit they have you do, like you're gonna be a fucking happy person once you leave. Like I was happy. Like at first,
yeah,
I enjoyed the pain, the diezmos, and all this shit I was doing because I felt like, you know what, it's part of the process, and I'm gonna get rewarded. So it was like a painful kind of like joy type of thing. I'm gonna get rewarded when I die somehow.
The sacrifice, yeah, for
But now it's
yourself,
like,
yeah,
dude, like I could stop doing all this. Look, all this was nonsense, and it would get me really mad too. The fact that,
yeah, yeah,
But what gets me really mad now is that I see my mother, people that I know that I care about, and bro, they're just working. This is not even a religion. It's a business. They're just use you to work to generate money, and that's it. You're just an asset for them. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
for sure,
But anyways, yeah, I wanted to just mention that I like how you put that out there. I think a
yeah,
lot of people can relate. For those who are watching, uh, if they're going through this right now, where they have so many questions, right? They probably have a lot of questions, bro, and they don't know who to talk to, because they're surrounded by just people who don't want to talk about that. All they want to talk about is somos en San Joaquin, but they're like, nah, like it's been 3 years. They have questions, right? And I want to just say, um, you're probably on the right. You're definitely on the right track. To doubt, to have questions, to want to research. I mean, that's a part of life. That's very important. You never want to go into something and not get like a double side or just know in detail. It's like going to Amazon. Every time I order a part for my bike, I go to the freaking reviews. I see, how long they last, if it works, how's the packaging, like how does it come, just because this stuff's really expensive for the bike. But that's how you have to be in life. I think it's perfectly normal, and I think that makes us better people,
hmm,
and it'll save you headaches down the line. If I was into review a certain parts on a bike and I order it and not knowing that it was gonna last like a couple months or whatever, like things can really save you a headache. So, you don't want to find out 5, 6 years later, fuck, I should have just really finished that AJ video with Julian. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, don't, I don't know, but go ahead.
No, yeah, for sure. I totally get that. And I I mean they they tell each other just constantly that just La Luz del Mundo has a very long name, just technical long name, Columna y Apoyo de la Verdad. And they always saying that like nadie ha contestado esta doctrina and all that stuff. They make you feel
Yeah.
like you literally have it in the bag. You are so lucky that God chose you since before the beginning of time for you to be part of this thing. And you're completely right. You're better than everyone that's ever lived because you're lucky, etc. Everyone who's walking the earth right now. And then they'll tell you stuff like nadie ha contestado esta doctrina, but like don't members realize that you can't, well, of course, but like we can't. Like I remember going to studios for the jóvenes on particular days that they would hold, and they started, they kind of stopped doing this at some point, but I remember that they would do a studios like every Wednesday for all the jóvenes show up and go do a studio. And in my mind, they were telling, as a little kid, dude, I remember being told that like, yeah, we're the right church, we're the right, everyone else is wrong. And I remember like seeing from my own eyes where I was just like, I don't really know a lot of Bible verses. And I'm still kind of like normal and cool. And I'm like the average here actually. And then I remember just like seeing the other kids around me and I was like, no offense to them, but I was thinking, I was like, no, we're actually not that prepared. We're the actual like people we should be challenging. Like, if La Luz del Mundo really was right all the time, I don't know, dude. They'd be inviting freaking people from other churches over all the time to debate them, to discuss ideas, to just have an arena, to have a contest between the ideas, have a contest between the interpretations. And we should just be dunking on them all the time. But no, there's all these excuses that the church is coming up with to make itself feel like, oh, we're right, we're right. And if people don't think we're right, well, God didn't choose them, and that's just the excuse. It was just a bunch of excuses. One other thing that I was gonna say is I remember you were saying how you had uh, looked at the thing about Moises Padilla like a couple of days before your wedding. For me, I remember reading the Wikipedia page of the church back in early 2011. I was in 10th grade, and this was like my fourth or fifth try at the Avivamientos. And I remember, and that was the one that I actually received, but I was very serious and that like I wasn't, anyways, I'm not going to get into what exactly had happened, but it was the last time I did Avivamientos. And I remember being in school in class and I finished my assignment and I was on just a computer and I looked up Luz del Mundo's Wikipedia and there was a little part there where it was just like 1997 controversy or something like that. I didn't click any links. I just read that thing and immediately closed it. And I never looked at like anything against the church in general, right? Up until later, where I was thinking about things like against religion in general. And then, Nason gets arrested. And then I started looking directly for things against the church specifically all over again.
Yeah.
And but that's the thing, like we don't want people to feel like freaking crazy for looking this up. Like just look this up. Like if you guys really have the truth, investigation should not harm y'all at all. And yeah, if the church really had the truth, investigation should not harm it. Like it should be the case that all these bishops and all these
Yeah.
pastors could be themselves giving the interviews, going on the talk shows. Why is it only Silam? Why you just these people should just be going out there like crazy, just really trying to clean up Nason's image in every way possible. But they don't for an array of reasons. And but
Yeah.
still, the point is that they just freaking don't. They just don't. And we don't want people to feel crazy for that. And the thing is that like for me, that was when I looked up the Wikipedia, I was at my most faithful because I apparently received that week. And I didn't actually think I received, and I wasn't really that faithful, but I was more faithful then than I was now. In those years is when they were really trying to push it on me as a child. I was still in high school. But like just the investigation should not harm it, man. Like bro, like no, like, it's just not how it works, man. Like, that's not how you're right. That's not I don't know. And then I was gonna say basically that so yeah, I also want to dive into this point like really quickly. Let's say that Nason does get out and everything kind of goes back to some certain kind of normal. He's back to his little throne. He's traveling all over the place. He's doing a tour all over again like he did back in 2015 when he first came into power. Let's pretend he's doing tours everywhere and he's showing himself, and he's like, and y'all get to laugh in everyone's faces for being because he's out and everything. Like I get that. If it does get to that point, the the thing that members should realize is that like it's not going to be easy on y'all. They're going to be so much harsher on y'all, so much crazy harsher on y'all. There's this they know that there's this renewed attention on the church that's very negative. It's not just, a bunch of people have left and are now looking right back at the church and ready to get back at them, and they're talking shit like we are right now. And
Yeah.
um like it's not going to be easy. They're not going to be fucking nice to y'all. Like they're going to be asking for more money maybe. They're going to be way more stricter on y'all's like stuff, or maybe they aren't going to be stricter. And let's pretend like they loosen shit up, but like they're still loosening things up. Like y'all know that this church is so false, and they're probably gonna loosen some rules up, and then what happens to like the doctrina never changes, or nadie han contestado esta doctrina.
Yeah.
Um, I people have to know this, and um, I don't know, man. It's just tragic, just like think about
I
that.
I
Yeah, so
think
I'm going off on a tangent. Go on.
no, I think you know how like uh biblically or religious wise or whatever, the church has always known how to manage the the members, and play, stick their finger in their mouth and just move it around, and they've always just lied to us, bro. Kept us in this bubble of knowing, making us think that we're the only ones, and we can have any argument with anybody, and we just, our church is the only church. But and they've known how to really do that and fool us for years, and by how they do that was, just keeping us away from, normal people, right? Not talking to, not making friends with like uh Gentiles or whatever, or people from the world or whatever. Think that, like, the pastors don't know how to deal with the fact that if any member tries to, confront somebody who is well aware of the situation, and they're not gonna know what to say, and that's why, they having just don't talk to nobody, or having them don't talk to anybody, bro. Like the fact that they went to the extent of saying, like, if he's your husband, like, there's videos of those dominicales where they were literally saying, if it's your husband, your wife, or your family member, like, they're enemies now. They're condemned. They're living in hell as we speak, and they're, you shouldn't be talking to them. They shouldn't even be living in your house.
Hmm.
So that's how aggressive it's gotten.
Hmm.
And members need to realize that. I told that to like some of my family members. I was like, why are you still living with me? Why are you still talking to me? Like they're teaching you not to do that. I'm like a snake. They literally said that. They said that if we're the snake, what do you do with snakes? You hit them in the head and kill them. And I'm like, they said that on in church, and using that to compare ex-LDM members, comparing us to snakes, and that's just it's just weird. But
Yeah,
um,
snakes, Ebola, spiritual leprosy,
yeah.
just stuff like
Oh
that, man.
man, so many stuff, and I'm just glad that um, just we're out,
Hmm.
we can sit here and talk about it. And I know a lot of members, like I don't care who you are, like any member who you're full blown, and let's just say you had like a break. Let's just say God, whatever, told you, you know what, you don't have to be a member for like a whole week or a day. You can do all you want. You can really say what you feel. And what do you think what do you think of Nason, and what do you think about this or that? And if you're not okay with this, if you're not okay with that, you can say it. This is your time, like go for it. Say it. I want to really know how you feel. I think a lot of members would really have a lot to say or express for how they feel, what they're not okay with. Because there's so many bullshit ass rules, dude. You know? But they just have to do it. They just have to
Hmm.
do it. And then that goes back to like, do you really have your free will? I don't think you do. I think it's just a big communist or dictator, uh, church where
It's
you just have to fucking do what this guy says, dude. And it
Yeah,
sucks, it sucks. And I know what they're thinking. They're thinking like, nah, it's just my flesh. I know it's just my flesh, but deep down, my parents are right and this and that. But dude, it's not. Um,
it's a spiritual North Korea. You can't voice dissent there, and it's ridiculous. So there's this concept that I heard once from my friend Morgan over at My Spiritual Life. She's an ex-Mormon person, and I believe her partner. I forgot her partner's name, but they're awesome, and they don't talk about La Luz del Mundo. I have videos of La Luz del Mundo where I'm discussing that with them.
yeah,
But
I think I watched it.
yeah, they're freaking cool, man. I did a 4 or 5 hour like interview with her. It was awesome. But there's this. I remember watching a bunch of other of her videos, and one thing that she introduced me to, well, one thing that I was introduced to there was this concept of sinning against the better light, where in church and in their church too, they'll teach you um that people out in the world, they're sinning and whatever, and they don't know any better, but if you're someone who's born into the church or knows about the church or something like that, you're connected to it in some way. Um,
Yeah,
in church, you're basically taught that it's especially bad that you go and decide to sin because because you're sinning like right up against the actual truth. When the person out in the world sins against, is part of the Catholic Church and they start sinning against their fake Catholic faith and whatever, it's not
yeah,
so bad as you when you do it right when you're right next to the thing that actually has the truth and stuff like that. um
yeah,
and again, that's a freaking just um pressure tactic, abusive tactic to keep you in line, to keep you from freaking like um getting to keep you from like to keep you from dissenting. And I'll show this also. I remember in those last years or two where I was just basically out of my faith mentally, and I was thinking about like church in general, and I was like, man, I just need something to get me out. I just need something to get me out. I remember thinking to myself, I was like, could I like, would it be helpful to tell my family, to tell people that inquire, would it be helpful to tell them that like, hey, I don't think religion is for me, but if I was going to have a religion, it would be here. I remember like just kind of coming up with things to just say to make it feel not so bad for them. And it was that, it was just like, it was me sort of saying that like, oh well, if I'm gonna go anywhere, it's still be here, guys. Just leave me alone. I'm just gonna be a step removed from y'all, but I'll still go back to y'all. But still, that is just a testament to how hammered in the idea is of not questioning them, and
yeah.
uh, it was hard. It was hard to break out of that, dude. And I still think about it. I have dreams, not so often now, but like every once in a while, I'll have a dream where I'm told, where I'm like, uh where I'm like in church or something, and people are trying to get me back in or something, or I think like 2 years. I was reading some entries from my dream journal, and I remember I had one where this girl I used to talk to in church, this friend, she was telling me, I had a dream of you, that you were in church, and that you looked like you had gone through hell, and you look different, and we weren't saying it, but we were all happy that you were there. And it was just crazy, bro. Like, they're just really trying to freaking hammer this home into people, man. Like, really hammer it home into people. It was nuts, man. I don't
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
that
rough. I'm just so glad I'm out of it.
yeah, that's another thing in church. A lot of the stuff, you know what I really had a hard time with is I remember I would go back to think of all the testimonies and all these supposedly miracles that Samuel did and Naason did, and that's the only thing that would really go back to my head and be like, so none of that was true? You know, like what if they were true? Like, and then and then I'm thinking like, fucking Julian, fucking relax, bro. Like, where the fuck is the proof? Like, yeah, there's testimonies, but like, think, bro. Think. Use your head and think, Julian. Every time a person, especially the Joaquin family, right? Uciel or Nason or Benjamin or even Abdiel, like these guys, bro. I went and looked them up. And if you go in on YouTube and look these guys' testimonies, or even a high-ranking pastor, they always say these words right here: "Hubo un hermano, hubo una hermana," and they never give the fucking name. Who? Who?
Yeah,
Hubo un hermano allá en una iglesia en Australia, o una hermana allá en una iglesia en una obrita ahí de Argentina, or some shit. And I'm like, well, fucking who, dude? But they don't say who, dude. And I'm like, think, Julian, think. Are those true? Like, if
yeah,
it was true, they would know the name. People must have been there, and they keep it so weird. Like, it was like it's like a little, just a little story. Have un hermano allá en Argentina, hermanos. Que, and this is like, bro, you're dude. There was
do you
one,
have any stories? Do you have any stories? Yeah, give me an example.
there
I
was one
have
where
some.
Abdiel, there was one Abdiel, right? And if you look it up, it's on YouTube, and he's talking about, he's trying to give this like sermon about, because they're about to ask for the Holy Spirit, and he's right there, bro, and like, the camera's already recording, and he's there in the pulpit before it starts, and he's this guy's literally on his phone, bro, just like this, like on the pulpit, just like this, and then he smiles, he goes, and he's just like texting on the fucking pulpit before it starts, and I'm like, oh shit, like, if I was to see that as a member, I would think, nothing bad of it, but now that I see it, it's like, okay, so whatever, right? So he's there in the pulpit and he's texting, and then it starts, and he's giving out, this like story, and he starts to he the story was this. The story was that there was a time where he was in the outside of the guard. He was outside of the house in Guadalajara, some house, and this house had an elevator. I'm assuming his house has an elevator, and he's saying that his house has an elevator, and he's saying that his bodyguards were there, and that there was this brother, right? The brother, and un hermano. He never says his fucking name, never says who this person is, you know. And the brother gets there, and he wants to give him a present, like, because I guess everyone does that, gives him presents. And so this brother got there kind of late, and he wants to give the Nason a present, and the security guards and they're not letting him. They want to tell him like, hey, he's tired, he's this and that. And he's saying that this brother, right, understood, which is, there's no fucking brother. This is all bullshit, right? But I guess
Mhm.
his brother was really trying hard, but like, here, no, they have to receive this present. It's for him. Like, I really wanted to have it. And so anyways, he ends up leaving. He ends up leaving, and um no, he leaves it there. He leaves it there with the securities. And he just tells him, if you get to see him, just give him the present, please. And the point is that the fact that he tries so hard to really, he wanted to give him this present. Um, the they ended up just receiving it. They received it. They were holding it for him in case they saw the apostle again or whatever. And that's one. So the more, so like after, right after he left, he says that the Nason took the elevator down, or the stairs down, and he opened the door and he was like, "Hey, where is he? Where's the person? I was waiting for him. I was waiting for him." And I guess if you really want something, it can happen. And then Nason got the present and he just went back in his room. And it was just stupid. It was just fucking stupid. Like you could tell this guy just made it
Yeah.
up in like 5 seconds. He never says the member name or anything, dude. And that goes with like all their testimonies. And that's something that I was like kind of shocked, like, wow, you know. And that's something big that they use to to really hype up the church. I
Just
remember a
like
person,
vague. It's just vague
yeah,
like anecdotes. It's just vague.
yeah,
Just tall
all
tales,
the
man. Right? It's
now
just
that I
tall
go
tales.
back,
Uh-huh.
now that I go back to like a lot of brothers who would tell me like testimonies, like for in my church that I was or whatever, they always say the same thing: a brother, or an hermana, or this or that. And I'm sure like maybe things have happened, like supernatural things, I don't know, in church or whatever, right? That has nothing to do with Nason, but right away, bro, they have to like say, or they just mentally think, oh, it's because Nason. It's because he prays. This guy wakes up at 5 in the morning, so this is why this happened, because he prayed, because he thought about me in this particular day. It's like fucking
Mm-hmm.
no, dude, no, bro. Shit happens all over the world to a lot of people, unexplainable things, whatever. And Nason doesn't think about them, like it's just weird. Like if you really break it down and think it thoroughly, it's just ridiculous. It's stupid. None of it makes any sense,
Yeah, for
But
sure.
they're just in this like fantasy land, bro. Like I don't know. It's kind of
Let,
hard to explain.
let me tell you one that I've heard for sure for sure at least twice, but for sure once I heard it. There's this like vague one that I remember hearing, and I don't know who exactly, but I know for sure I always grew up around it, or I just known it for a long time. There's this one where people were saying that like maybe some gang member or maybe some dude some just to strip a lot of details and not introduce it all. The bare minimum of it is that some dude that didn't belong to the church ends up going to a church somewhere to a pastor, and he's talking like, hey man, I felt like I was supposed to be here. I had a dream, or I saw a vision, or I met someone on the street or something, and the dude was telling me to go to church, and this church and this church. He was telling me to go to this one. And then when he goes inside to the office or something, he sees a picture of whoever's the apostle, and I'm pretty sure it was probably Samuel for sure. um I'm pretty sure that the testimony goes to then, and he goes, this person supposedly sees a picture and he's like, yeah, that's the dude. and and then this person
Oh,
becomes a member or something, right? But the idea of it is that like, oh well, Nason or Samuel the apostle, whoever, is omnipresent, and while you may see him in person here somewhere, he's also spiritually or mentally in some other place working miracles on people and shit. I'm like, that's one that I heard. Have you heard something like this?
yeah,
I know for
dude.
sure.
They always say this. They use the same fucking the same strategy. I heard of one where this guy was he was a driver, a taxi driver in Guadalajara, and that he was giving a ride to this man, and that the man and look how
Oh,
stupid this
okay, okay. I
and that
didn't
this
hear the
man
taxi. Yeah.
or
Go
I
on, go
think
on.
it was a taxi. I don't know. It was a driver, and he's just I don't know. I don't know. It was just a driver, and that he picks up this guy or he runs into this dude, and this dude tells him, you should go to this church. He invites him to the church, gives him the information of the church, and so okay, the guys end up checking it out. And then when he's walking up, he sees the big old freaking poster of Nason, and he goes, "That's the man who invited me to come here."
I've heard this
So it's
before.
like
Yeah, right.
it's like okay, if you live in Guadalajara, I'm pretty sure that, and especially in La Hermosa Provincia, like who fucking doesn't know this guy? So, but you're gonna pretend that you didn't know him when you saw him. Oh, it's him. He's the guy who invited me. And now you've never seen this guy. It was so stupid, dude. It's
Yeah.
so stupid.
There's another one I heard, man, where I can't say, I don't know if I heard this for exactly from a pulpit, or if I heard this like from friends my age one day when we were just talking stuff. But I remember hearing one where something about someone keeping guard of a church, and I don't know if it's Guadalajara or elsewhere, probably Guadalajara, but someone's keeping guard of church, like there overnight, and then supposedly that they see some sort of dark figure or
Oh
angel or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
and then supposedly that like the apostle or whoever goes inside the church to go confront it or something like that.
yeah. I heard that
I've
one.
heard something, just to keep it like really vague like that. Come on, like people are just pulling this shit out their fucking ass, bro. And again, it always comes back to this, bro. Like I would delete this YouTube channel if this man would just show me him raising someone from the dead. Like I delete this, I fucking take it all back. I go back to him. I just turn myself back, right back into God, just all that crap, man. If you just freaking showed me your magic powers and the fact that you are apparently confronting these black angels that just show up into church that are like spawns from Satan, and I don't know, man. It's nuts.
Bro,
Uh-huh.
I remember there was a Dominical here, right where I'm from, and I remember it was like towards the end, and that's something that a lot of members even like to do. They like to say a testimonial to spice things up, right? And then this brother literally said that one occasion that uh it was in Samuel's time, right? That I guess it was raining that day, or I don't know what was up with the weather. Something was up with the weather, and that day everybody feared that if the apostle walked out, that he was gonna get wet. So what happened is when he walked out, I guess or no, or someone was, I think it was something was trying to harm him. Everybody had heard that somebody wanted to harm him. I don't know who, but when he walked out of his house, they always tell him not to leave the house, to stay, not to walk out or whatever. But he decided to just walk out, and I guess like, bro, I guess a cloud descended from like the sky, and it came all the way down, and it was literally just above Samuel, and the cloud followed him into the church, and like he walked into his little throne, and the cloud was there on top while he gave his sermon, and then when he walked out, the cloud followed him back until he went to his house, and then the cloud just went away. What do you think?
I feel like I've heard something like this. I'm not even kidding. I feel like I've heard something about some sort
But
of
but
cloud,
the
yeah,
funniest part
inside
is
of a
that
building. Yeah,
the member who was saying this wasn't there. None of us were there. We're just hearing this story like fuck. And of course, it's the reason why it gives it some sort of like um like it's true is because of the fact that it's in a church. And oh, if it's got to do with the apostle, it's got to be true, right? And it's, bro, it's like they manipulate the fact that people have this like high belief on this guy, so anything that they can relate to him, it's gonna be true, and that's how they get away with it. But if you really think about it, dude, like this shit would be on the news, bro. All this stuff that these guys have done, raising people from the dead, like this stuff would have already hit news. Like it would have, if you see if come on, bro, it would have hit the news
yeah.
or something,
In the same
something.
way, yeah,
How many people would like, the Bible talks about stuff like that, right? That I guess it did happen, and a lot of people would convert in that moment. People who were like not even from church. If Nason was doing stuff like that, bro, you would see a lot of people like this would be huge. But come on, Nason's at the fucking Mundial in Russia, and people don't
yeah.
even care about this guy. They don't care who he is. Like,
Uh-huh.
come on. For all they know is he's probably there, a normal dude, probably walking with a slice of pizza in his hand, or went to the bathroom, like probably, just like anyone else, farts. This guy probably farts and everything in the bathroom, and people don't care about this guy. He's just a normal guy. Probably, bro, I could probably washing his hands, probably popping his pimples or looking at his greasy ass face. Like, he's a normal guy, guys. Like, this guy is like not Superman.
Yeah. Um, dude, there's probably like more stories, and I honestly I've forgotten about them. I haven't thought about them in a long time. But again, these are just like tall tales that people tell each other. Maybe they believe them when they're repeating it. Maybe they like inflate it or dress it
Yeah,
up in some way when they're saying it. Maybe they're not
definitely.
sinister and repeating those things, but that's a thing. That's a freaking thing, and people are straight up in it and just don't. I don't know. It just doesn't click in these people's heads. Um,
We should ask.
yeah.
I was gonna tell you. Uh, if you wanted before you end the video, right? Just ask kind of like the members, or for those who watch the video, like just kind of put out, you know, what kind of videos or what kind of videos would they want to see as far as like church or information or something, a topic to talk about?
Mhm.
Um, you know, if I don't know if you wanted to do that or not.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. I think we'd want like any idea, just
or maybe like go on
anything,
Reddit
because
and
sometimes. Mhm.
yeah,
I know on Reddit people have made posts about other tall tales that they've heard, and I haven't read those in a long time, but I'd love to go back to that to see what people were talking about, so we could like just share with people and let them know that they're not crazy for hearing these stories in different versions, and that just being like a tool from the ministry to get you to believe into in this man being magical and whatnot.
hey,
Um,
I was gonna ask you. You think
mhm,
there's a way? Maybe you don't even know, but like, I've been wanting to go to LA, bro, and just go outside the court, just to be there,
mhm.
just like, just to like kind of be like, yo, I'm right here, like I don't know, and kind
Yeah,
of see those. I don't know. I thought it was cool, or even if there's a way to even be inside the hearing, and just kind of be there. Do you think that's
yeah.
probably a possibility? I don't. I
I know
don't think so.
his family shows up. I know Luis Carlos has said he shows up. Isaias Alvarado goes often to the stuff. I'm not too sure about what it would mean to actually go and what the process is, because I'm not even close to there, and so it's
Yeah,
never
yeah,
crossed my mind to even be close there to
right,
go. But I wish I could go. Just to
man.
Yeah, it'll be rough, and I don't think when the trial does start, I'm hoping that shoot, dude, in like less than 4 weeks, it's apparently the first pre-trial meeting, and it's been crazy, man. We literally been waiting since like mid-September, and it's been pure pain since then, just
It
waiting.
went by. Honestly, I think it went by pretty well for me. It kind of just flew by. I was just busy with housework and stuff, but like, I don't know. I think it just kind of
Yeah.
flew for me. How do you feel about that? You think it kind of dragged for you?
Some certain points for sure started flying by, but not in general. It's just pure pain. Like this is
Yeah,
literally the longest
yeah.
delay that they've ever been given, the biggest punt. And
I hope.
dude,
I,
I don't know. I'm
I
trying
hope
not to
it's the
jinx it or
last.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well,
Um.
let me know if you want to make just one like just one, I don't know, something, a little video right before the hearing, just to see like what's gonna happen. Is it
Yeah.
gonna go down?
Yeah.
We
I
wait.
think we're gonna get a lot of, so looking forward to that. I think we're gonna get a lot of answers on the 29th, because maybe by then the defense will file for some other appeal to delay the thing,
Yeah,
or maybe judge the judge, I forget his name, is it Marcus or Cohen? Maybe one of them. I think it's Marcus. um Marcus or Cohen finally like say that they're done. They're not going to grant him any. They're not going to grant the defense anything else, because
yeah.
they've again they've just been given the biggest like punt of time. I wonder, man, but I think for sure by the end of the 29th we'll have more answers. We'll have more, a better idea of whether this thing is going to be delayed again and for how long, and or if it's going to start. And yeah, who knows, man. But it's so very clear the dude has not been asking for a speedy trial. He has lawyers. These lawyers have represented freaking Kevin Spacey and Harvey Weinstein, and it's a, even if he does get out or something like that, so completely unglorious. Took forever, on just all this shit has come out, and it's just not going to be pretty. For the members, it's not going to be pretty because they're going to be way more stricter on y'all, and then for people like us who are going to be hurt by that, it's not going to be pretty, but it's going to re-energize a lot of people. Everyone's going to be shaken to a big extent, and I just hope that I don't know. It just has to come to a close. It just really
Yeah.
has to. I think it's been incredibly painful for a lot of people, and some
I
people have like
think
lost their lives in the process and everything.
I think the since Alondra Ocampo has already pleaded guilty and she's gonna do some sort of time. I'm assuming that someone, if she's already admitted guilt to some of the stuff that she's involved with this guy, I mean,
Hmm.
some of that stuff has to involve Nason to do some time as well. Like, I don't know. I don't know how the law works, but
Yeah.
I definitely don't think this guy's gonna get out anytime soon.
Hmm.
Um, if it all comes to worse, it might get delayed, but you know, um, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'll take a delay, any day over him getting out for sure. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, we have stuff to do, and that we got lives to live, and we just got output to put like this, just out there, just to freaking bother people, just to get into people's heads, just to let them know that, just to clog the search feeds and let people know that, hey man, you're not freaking crazy for feeling crazy. You're not crazy for feeling crazy for the past 3 years on this crap.
Yeah.
And whenever
They're
it does
just
come out, it's not gonna be glorious. Absolutely not glorious at all.
yeah. I think the reason why I felt like I was going crazy was because of my head was just like deprogramming or just going through stuff that I was not used to. Being outside my comfort zone. Um, at that particular moment, I wasn't really too attached with members anymore. I was kind of like keeping my distance, and I started to really socialize more with like people from the outside, people from work. I made a lot of more. I got really more close to like a lot of dudes who like I game with, and seeing their input on everything. People who don't know this guy, who don't hate him or hate the nobody, they're just giving me their solid input. And it just the more I did that, the more it made me feel like more human. Uh, I'm human. What I'm trying to say is like just more of a like normal mind, and it just really helped me out. And it really helps, guys. If you're going through the same thing, which I know a lot of you are, it just really helps. Talk to people and just get information, get your whole, see their input and ask a lot of people, as many as you want to, ask 200 people, and out of those 200 people, they're all going to react how you're reacting toward the situation. And you're going to feel pretty good about that. Trust me. You're not going to care that they're not from church because you don't want, if you ask members from church, you know what they're going to give you. Just, you know, that side. If you ask people who are not members, who they don't hate the church or whatever, or they don't know the church, they're going to give you a solid answer. So I think that's something very important to do. Something I wish I would have done, um, which I did, but it took me time. But if you're really dealing with this situation where it's really bothering you, start to do that. Start reach out to people, reach out to people who you trust, and just tell them, hey, I'm going through this. I just really want your
Yeah, for
input,
sure.
and it'll really help. I mean, I know with us, since we're XL, we used to be members. I guess I would kind of like disqualify it. But if you don't want to ask us yet, or really reach out to us yet, because if they're sensitive about it, reach out to people that like in school, in college, in your work, in your gym. Just reach out, people who you trust, and see their input, and that's gonna really help people build up this like sort of like, um, I guess, kind of build a new mental muscle, to put it that way, or just some sort of like security to yourself, to make you think and realize, what, you're perfectly fine. It's just your brain. You have a really good brain, and it's just working properly, it's functioning properly, and you're going through a part in life where you know
Hmm.
I feel like it's reached its peak. Your brain can only take so much to where like this is just fucking weird already. So um but anyways, yeah, I'm excited to see what's gonna unfold as far as
Yeah,
members
man.
activity. People getting out, people asking questions, uh, people being more active on social media. People like what's that, coming out from La Luz del Mundo. I know a few members from Fresno now. When I first got out 3 years ago, it was very scary. There was not really a lot of people out, and then I met you, and I'm so happy I met you. People reached out to me, and it's cool, and that's the best thing about it, when you finally realize that this was a fucking cult, like the whole 9 yards, and you're meeting people from La Luz del Mundo, and then you can talk to them and be like, dude, yeah, I remember that, and dude, that's crazy, and that's like the best feeling. I remember I would be so happy, bro, when we first had our first talk.
Hmm.
um I was just happy to do that. Because it's cool to talk to members who are not from the church, but it's way better once you meet finally someone who went through all that shit, and you guys can just relate so much. You get through. I remember I was full blowing out, and I would be just surrounded by like members, and I just felt like in a way I felt like fucking cool, like because you guys don't know what I know, and you guys don't know. But
Yeah.
then I felt cool in a way that I'm so glad that I'm not a part of this whole trap anymore. And then I
Hmm.
felt bad. I felt bad, and just a lot of thoughts. It's weird to explain it. But I'm just happy. I'm happy that. I don't have
Hmm.
to put up with all this shit anymore, dude.
Yeah. And people, can convert themselves into assets. Someone can become, well, what I became for some people, where just so someone knocked, certain things knocked the dominoes in my head, and then I started knocking dominoes in other people's heads, and like I know particular people who are of good stature within the church that I grew up in,
Yeah.
and they got out, and I'm pretty sure that like blew, was a punch to the gut to a number of people, and it maybe didn't get those other people out, but still, like, it was a punch in the gut. Like, people need to realize that uh they themselves have weight when they get out, and then when they actually start speaking out and start, playing for the other team, because it's a direct, it's a zero sum game. Like, it's a direct loss from those people, from that from the Joaquines, their financial base and all that. It's a direct loss to them, and you can convert yourself into a freaking asset that harms them even more. And you can, and who knows what, you could maybe get the rest of your family out and start getting another family out, and it's all like, little grains of sand that start transferring from one side of the scale to the other, man. And just once it gets like that, just little by little, it starts tilting, and we destroy this thing. And and, and dude, this is just one cult. Like, this is just one little dumb piece of shit cult from a piece of shit neighborhood in Guadalajara. No offense to these people, but like, this is just a dumb little group from one dumb little neighborhood over there that just sprawled out in the way that it did. And hey, man, there's freaking other cults out there, man. Like, don't fall into them. But also, like, when we're done here with this group, if we're ever done with this group, man, there's so many other places where
Yeah.
people like us can act, and just make the world better, man. Like, this is like, I read history and whatever, but like, this is what the abolitionists did, bro. Like, back then, bro, the freaking abolitionists, bro, the United States enslaving millions of freaking people, bro, enslaving them, separating families, freaking torturing them, extracting so much labor out of them, building this country up to a crazy amount, the freaking expansion of the United States across the continent, stealing half of Mexico's land, bro. In 1848, they stole half of Mexico so they could go enslave people and build and build more cotton. So the odds were stacked against, like, abolitionists, bro. And these people were just, writing newspapers and talking shit and not wearing cotton and all that stuff. But little by little, like, it blew up. It blew up, and it's the same thing here, man. Like, people gotta recognize that they have weight with their actions and all that stuff. And this is why we do it, man. We're just trying to make this a better world. Make it better than we found it.
Wow. Yeah.
Sure, man.
You know, when I hear you talk like that, it makes me realize like how important it is to do research. You know that, and just as far as like the country, whatever. But like, imagine if they people apply that to just La Luz del Mundo, and that's something I did once I broke out and everything. I really dived into like the true foundation of La Luz del Mundo and with Aaron Joaquin and how he died. Is there any records of how he died? Which there isn't. And there's so many, like, you start to see or hear, and listen to people who were alive in his time, and they know other information that, it starts to make sense with what happened this day, and then you put that together, and then you realize like it's just crazy, bro. Like, I didn't even realize there was a video where there's a video, I mean, a voice video where Samuel is literally saying that his dad chose him to be the next. He didn't even say apostle. He just said to guide the church.
Mm-hmm.
His dad chose him. His dad picked him, and the fact that his dad was this like uh guide of God or whatever. That's the reason why it was validated. Samuel, there's literally him saying that, and that literally goes against what they teach you guys. But you guys probably have no idea that this tape exists, and it does exist. I've heard it. I think I can find it on YouTube, but it's just crazy.
Yeah, I feel like Dante Mandela or Luis Carlos
Yeah,
Reyes has uploaded it, but they upload so much, so I'm not too exactly sure where to find it. But
yeah,
and even that, like, that little recording apart, I know for sure that, strictly speaking, when you really talk to members and stuff, that you can learn that these members don't. I know for sure that in the history that you can learn that the members, when Samuel came into power, he wasn't he wasn't calling himself apostle. He was calling himself a prophet. It was only over time that he started warming up everyone to the idea that he was an apostle.
Right.
Um, and you know, that's just these are just stupid lies and an amplification of lies from like the freaking the 60s, the 70s, and like they did, people back then didn't freaking address it, because if people were calling them out on it to the extent that they should have been and could have been, maybe we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in now, where now we think that the apostle can raise people from the dead and all that crap, you know. um
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
we, you know, we, and just like they're telling us to cut, just like they're calling us snakes and telling us to cut them off at the head, like we gotta, you gotta do the same thing back to them, man. Like you just gotta call them out on this stuff. And
Yep.
um
Yeah,
yeah, man,
you
it's a
know,
bunch of lies. It's really troublesome. And the fact that these people can get away with these sort of religious lies and tall tales and all that stuff doesn't say anything about them. It doesn't say that they're magical or anything. It says something about like human beings being susceptible and comfortable and bystanders to not calling this crap out when it happens.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that falls into like um members are pretty much they're they're just they can't say nothing or they choose not to because they've been already they're so used to just oh well, I just need to ask God for more understanding. But I think it's reached its peak. I think even as bad as the pastors try to do that, more and more members are starting to like realize that that is not okay. That's not normal. Like if we have questions, we have the right to just ask. We shouldn't be put through this in this category of apostata just because you have a few questions of the apostle or the case or whatever. Like, it's just falling apart, dude, and it's just literally falling apart.
Yeah, man.
I know a lot of members are not the same. I know that. I mean, I haven't gone to church like in almost 3 years now since I left.
Hmm.
But sometimes I wonder, like, what if I just go to like a church where nobody knows me and just fucking just scope it out and see how, like, yo, what's up?
I know, I've really wanted to too.
And just literally just pretend, brother, la paz del señor, brother. Like, like, I think that would be crazy. Like, probably not for Halloween, just disguise myself as like,
Disguise
a,
yourself.
a
Yes.
suit and a tie and just pretend like,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Nah, I don't think I'd be able to do that because right away they would assume I'm a visitor or a member. And if I'm a member, what's crazy now that I think about that?
Yeah.
That members can't even do that. If you go to another church, you need to take a card saying that you belong to this other church. They want to know who you are. You can't just go and visit a place, and that goes for members unless you're a visitor. But if you're a member, it's got to have all your information. If you give money, if you do this, if you're active, if your attendance. That's just weird. That's weird. You cannot go to a church. That's just weird. It's like,
It's like you're back in middle school and they're giving you like a hall pass to go to the restroom. Like it's
yeah, you
childish,
gotta
bro.
have a
Like that's
report.
childish, man.
They gotta have a
Yeah.
report of you and know who you are before you even visit them. You have to ask that. And if you don't, if you don't ask that permission and you don't have that envelope and you go, if something happens to you in the way, Julian, you know what's gonna happen? Go
Bro,
straight to
that's
hell. Go
yeah,
straight to
man.
hell, young man. Fucking stupid, bro. Like, oh my god.
Silly, man. Yeah.
Fuck. So you telling me I can't go to Wild Waters because it's the next town over because
Okay.
I have to fucking ask permission? Like,
Yeah.
it's a water park. I have to tell. I'm gonna go to a water. Dude, it's ridiculous. But anyways, hey
Uh,
man.
yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for doing this. I'm really glad that we get to do this. And um yeah, you know, before I get you to say hi, you know, just everyone be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this with somebody, get them pissed off, you know, engage with this stuff so it can, you know, get on the feeds of people. And
Yeah.
because, you know, if there's any time to amp up the pressure, it's right now, right before, like literally a few weeks before the trial. And you know, we've been like, I hate to use this term, but we've been blue balled many times before, where we get like right close to get into the trial and they deny it from us. But that's the thing though, like if we just amp up the pressure a lot, you could really cut the money base for these people. And you know, we can get this to a quicker decision. And either way, no matter what, bro, like I know for a fact that it's one of my life's missions to not make it pretty, like, for these people, like, at
Yeah.
all. Like, it's gonna be like this is the thing for life, bro. Like, I'm just gonna be talking shit for my whole life until this thing is destroyed as much as I can make it, like, destroying the stupid ideas, but for the purpose of like helping the people inside just become better and not
Yeah.
be
And
stuck in
it,
this thing.
yeah, and it's not that
Mhm.
I mean, there's no other way to do it, right? You have to destroy it like that. You have to, because they're not used to seeing, hearing someone like you or me or whoever fucking putting this shit in its place where it needs to be. It's just literally trash. They're not used to seeing people talk like that, especially members who used to, people who used to be members. Usually it was in the past, it was always because, oh, they wanted to go sin and they just wanted to go explore the world. But it's like, no, bro, now it's like facts. Like, we know the lies, we have the information, and I think it's just that much more powerful.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so for
uh
sure.
yeah, so we said all that, and I don't know, do you want to say anything before, to say bye before we go?
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to give out my Instagram information actually in
Yeah, for
this
sure.
time. I really want people to, if you're
I'll put it
going
in the
through,
description too.
oh, nice. Yeah, if you're going through stuff, man, you want to just reach out. You can, my Instagram is julians.harley. I recently changed it. Well, not recently, but I got a bike, so I thought it was cool to change it like that. But anyways, yeah,
Yeah,
just go ahead, reach out, man. Um, we can just message, and I can just, if you need help with something, or maybe a piece of information, or just anything, anything. Just hit me up, hit up AJ, whatever. It feels good. I really like when someone really messaged me, and they just need some sort of like a feedback, you know what I mean? Just to like, because I remember that it's hard to really like have all these questions, but you don't have no one to tell them to, and no one to give you a feedback. And that fucking sucked, bro. That drive me nuts for the longest time. That's why I was so glad when me and you started like, talking and meeting. Like, fuck, I felt like fucking talking to a mirror every time I would. Bro, I even did that. Did I tell you? I would go so crazy, bro, that I would be in the mirror talking to myself in the fucking mirror, and just like tell this shit to myself, and just to pretend to make me feel realize that this shit's real, Julian. It's just not gonna go away. You're not gonna wake up tomorrow and fucking that someone's gonna be walking down the aisle. No, bro, like this was gone, and you gotta either deal with this shit and be a fanatic, or you're gonna go through the fire, find the answers. It's gonna be a bumpy ride, but fucking you're gonna get through it,
yeah, for
and you
sure.
will, and I did, and you did, and anyone who dares to do this, you will. It's going to be painful for the maybe a month or maybe less, depends, who you have around yourself. But that's why I'm giving out my information. Reach out, I want to make that process faster. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, and start building more people like me and you, so that out there there'll be like 5 AJs. Fuck it, like there's people out there, bro, that can really talk, really
Yeah,
put,
man.
when they have information, they can really put it out. Like there's this chick, ooh, on I think, and what's crazy?
Hmm.
My wife follows her, and her sister. They know her, this chick, bro, and she literally left. She put some fire on TikTok, and she's got like over,
Sarah
yeah,
M. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
So
someone
someone sent it to me recently. We taled about it a couple. I
I
haven't
was
gone
like,
back, but yeah,
fuck.
we just freaking
It
need
went
that man.
viral.
We
That shit
freaking
went
need
viral.
that
I was
man.
like, bro, that went viral. And I told my wife about her. And I was like, who she is, right? And I was like, well, have you followed her on TikTok? She was like, she didn't want to answer me.
Uh huh.
But I'm so glad, bro. And no, not only that, but like her sister follows her too. And it's just, I'm just so happy, bro. Like, I'm so glad. I was just seeing all those likes from like thousands of people. Like, dude, nice. Just,
Yeah,
but
and it's also when we get people out, we get access to their like camera roll. We get access to their like photo albums and what they lived through. And they they probably weren't allowed to share it and stuff, but maybe they can start sharing it now, and but reframe it in a different way. And
yeah,
it's just more like bullets that are just thrown at the organization to have to
yeah,
answer. But of course, they don't answer them, they just avoid them. But nah, man, I'm optimistic that because a lot of people have gotten out, and I'm just optimistic that it's going to be that we're going to make it like really painful for a lot of people. And I just hope that justice is served for the survivors, like first and foremost, and then and then for us also, because we owe a lot to them. And those people, man, those people have their stories to tell. Those survivors, bro. When this trial comes to a close in one way or another, bro, I'm not confirming anything, but they have a lot like they have an arsenal of stuff like loaded up, ready to go.
I'm gonna be.
But there's a freaking documentary that Telemundo's working on. There's a freaking documentary that I think like HBO is working on. There's at least like 3 documentaries in the works. There's some sort of just big projects out there from people. Like we've gotten their attention, and now they're starting to work with people, and that's coming down the pipeline, bro. Like it's
Yeah,
gonna be really
I
ugly for
got.
these people.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
think I
go on.
got contacted by the one of the HBO guys. But I just haven't really like, cause I have so much going on with my house that I don't want to start something and then, not do it. Um, but I don't know. But I know for sure the HBO is in the works, and I'm just excited. I'm trying to be involved with it some way or another, but it's just hard.
Hmm.
I just have so much going on.
Yeah,
If
for
I'm
sure,
fixing up this house, but man, good. That's great stuff though, dude. Good news. But
for sure,
man,
man.
so I think exciting things are coming for sure. Okay, I can't wait, dude. I can't wait.
Yeah. I think we'll go ahead and wrap this up, man.
Yeah,
Julian, man, thank you for coming on. It's freaking awesome. Always great to talk to you. It puts a lot of gas in my car, and I hope that this helps you and it helps a whole bunch of other people, man. You're the
for
fucking
sure,
man. We're gonna meet one day, man. We're gonna freaking have,
dude. I
man.
want
It's
to
gonna
go
be
out there. I want
so
to
fucking
leave.
cool, man.
I want
Uh
to get
huh.
out of. I want to get out of this little town, and I want to just just leave, go out somewhere
Yeah,
for
man.
sure.
Totally.
I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe one day even my wife will come with me, as a full
Yeah.
blown
Yeah,
ex
for sure.
member.
For sure,
Imagine
man.
that would be sick. All right,
That'd be
hey
sick for
man,
sure. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this recording right now. So peace, everyone. Take good care.